All right. We live, Locker Room Chronicles once again. The brothers are starting to file into the building. We're going live. Sorry for the little glare, y'all. I'm gonna try to work it out. Uh, what are we talking about today, fellas? We are talking about the unleveled playing field that brothers experience when we're trying to get into relationships, we're in relationships and everything like that. Sometimes I want to know why the brothers just get frustrated and just step off sometimes because we miscommunicate with each other and we just feel that she just don't get it. No matter how many ways that we try to express ourselves, if we express ourselves at all, that there's an unleveled playing field on both sides of the fence. But the brothers are talking about what we experience on our side of the fence so that the ladies can maybe understand, empathize, and also know where we're coming from when we talk about these issues in relationships. So let's add it, brother. Brother Lynn, go ahead and introduce yourself. You got the
You
beard.
in the building. My
Bearded.
man, you in the building.
Go ahead.
What's up? What's up, good brothers and everybody
Yo.
out there in the virtual
What up?
land? Yeah, just kind of following up on what Bill said. But before I do that, I want to say to the brothers, I really applaud Bill and Eugene for this platform because it serves as an excellent platform for men to really speak their truth and kind of really speak on how they feel. Because a lot of times that's often dismissed, and if brothers tend to talk about it, we're at times deemed as weak or whatever. And the days of men not speaking the truth is over. And I think that I applaud you too for having this platform and allowing me, to be a part of the platform. But to kind of add in, and these brothers that's on here, Bill, Eugene, and know me, I only speak from my experiences. I'm currently in a relationship right now, but they allowed me to come on and speak on one of the things that I found when I was after my divorce and I got on the single scene. It was just so glaring on the disparities that exist between men and women relative to relationships. And so some of you might be saying, okay, well, so what does he mean by that? I simply mean by it kind of ties back to what we talked about earlier some time ago with the exception and the rule. The rule is, men, we have to meet all these conditions. We got to make a certain amount of money. We got to be a certain height. We got to meet all these different conditions. But on the flip side of it, it appears sometimes that ladies have a tendency to be able to change the measuring scale at their own discretion at any given moment. Like women can say, oh, I don't want a man that's under 5'9" or 5'10". But let a man speak up and say, I'd rather not date this lady who had this baby out of wedlock. It might be questionable judgment. Then he's insensitive. I don't want a woman that's over a size 10. I don't want a woman who say wears weave or whatever. And it's not anything disparaging, but when you speak on things like that, or when some brothers, I should say, speak on things, then you're being insensitive. And it's very apparent. And I know I've faced it, like I'm 5'5". I accept my height, I've had women tell me, you're too short, but I'm too short, but you weigh more than me. I mean, so I mean, you want to down my height, but you weigh more than me. so I think that was one of the things that was just so frustrating for me, because one thing I found is that when some women speak their truth, they can be brutally honest. I mean, brutally honest. Don't care about your feelings one way or another, relative to your height, relative to your past, relative to whether or not you got kids by different women or whatever, and say what they don't accept. But when you as a man start speaking up and say, this is what I don't want, these are what my expectations are, this is what I want, this is what I will not accept in my life, then you're deemed as being insensitive or not being humble enough to accept a woman as is. So I think
That's
as men, I think as men, we need to talk about it. We face it, we encounter it more than people, and more so than women think. And I'll leave it at this, and we can kind of talk about it. One of the things that I've seen when I was out here on the single scene, I would hear women talk about men that they wanted, but didn't take the time to understand what those men wanted. It was all about their expectations and not about what the man was willing to accept. So we can go a long time on this, and I don't want to monopolize all the time, but I think that it is a gross disparity that's out there that is more prevalent than some think. And quite frankly, when it gets spit out, it's incredibly cruel and insensitive. And I think that brothers need to continue to speak on their truths and don't ever be afraid. Because my boys Bill and Eugene, they know me, they met my lady. And one of the things I spoke to my lady about, I said, okay, now that we passed all this, let me tell you what my expectations are. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm not going to deal with in my life. And we're going pretty strong. And so I'll leave it at that. But I'll come back. But I appreciate you, Bill, for letting me, start off with this. But I just really feel that the disparity is there. It's real. And quite frankly, I don't see it going away until some ladies start changing their philosophies and becoming more realistic in their expectations.
Lyndon, I want to tie on something that you said. It really boils down to communication, man. I say this time and time again. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about relationships, and she made a statement. She said, if you hanging out with somebody for like, if y'all going out and doing what y'all do, like at what time do you know whether or not your relationship? I said, well, see, the problem is that's what's going on. A lot of people are going into situations without having a conversation.
That's right.
And what you end up doing is, and I hate the word entanglement, but what ends up happening is you end up getting in these situationships and you really haven't learned each other. Mm-hmm. And what happens is you mess around and she give up that nappy, you hit her off, and now y'all are kind of soul tied in a sexual nature, but you really haven't sat down and had a conversation. Because one thing I've learned, if you sit and listen to a woman or a woman sit and listen to a man, you listen long enough, you're going to find out whether or not you want to be bothered. Mm-hmm. Sometimes from the first date, fellas, how many of you can attest you went on a date with somebody you knew after that first date, like, nah, I'm straight. I'm good, because it was just from that conversation that you was like, yeah, this ain't going to work for me. Yeah, this ain't going to work for me. Yeah. But the problem is with this unleveled playing field, it's like you said, I want to be fair on both sides of the gender pool. We don't set boundaries and we don't explain our expectations. But here's the question. At what point do you set boundaries? At what point do you talk about expectations?
From the beginning.
So it's the first date. We are eating crab legs. So, I expect you to this. Like there has to be a way that you can do it. And I always say, fellas, if you really listen to a woman talk, you will pretty much get what it is that she somewhat expects in some of her boundaries. But you have to pay attention. Like, let's not be so focused on trying to see, am I going to get in tonight or what's going to happen, but really listen and have a conversation. Right. So the one thing about this whole situation, like Linda said, I applaud him because he said him and his lady had conversations in the door. In the door, they had conversations. Like, I've been through this, I've been through that. But sometimes you could have that kind of conversation in the door, and that might scare a man away or that might scare a woman away because they're like, wait a minute, it's too much. Well, I tell you what, if I'm telling you the door is too much for you, then yeah, you're not for me. Not that I'm trying to build a relationship, but at our age, we ain't got time to be trying to fill each other out. I need to let you know what it is, what we're doing, and we keep it moving. But society has kind of changed. I would dare to say, and I'm sure the brothers might not agree, but I would dare to say it seems like the brothers are really on that, trying to really find out if a woman is for me and really sincerely searching for that type of relationship. But unfortunately, on the other side of the gender pool, because of, like my brother Kamal said, these know nothing ass Negroes out here that have done these women wrong, they kind of have taken our role. Like, I'm gonna get him before he get me. And I think that's one of the things about the Locker Room Chronicles. Like, we really have to, it's my goal that we as brothers kind of like be fair with ourselves. Like, I can say I've made some mistakes. I've done some things and I've made some assumptions in relationships. And I didn't have that boundary conversation. I didn't have that expectation conversation. I just made an assumption that we were together and that we were cool. But then when everything went left, I'm sitting there looking like, what happened? But reality is, what happened. You didn't do the work. You didn't have the discussions that you need to have. So I want the brothers to be like, what are some of the things that y'all are doing? And we keep it 100 on this page that makes you go, this is unfair. Like, this playing field ain't even. Like, the ladies ain't playing fair. Now, I'm probably gonna get in trouble, but let me say this 30-second thing real quick. Y'all remember about 4 months ago when somebody put a poster out about the young man that was broken into 1,000 pieces, and he was puzzle pieces, and they had the black woman putting them back together. And the women, they went left, like, I wouldn't do that. He need to have his stuff together. So me, in my mind, I sat and used my education. I said, well, let me think about what they're saying. So I flipped it and I put a post out saying the same thing verbally, but only flipping it where the man supported the woman through her process. And they was like, praise the Lord, where is he at? Come through King. And I'm like, ladies, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's an example of an uneven playing field. Like, you want to pour all your bad stuff on me. He abused me. He beat me. He cheated on me. He did this. He did that. And you want us to sit there and hold you and talk to you and stroke you in it and walk you through that healing process. But then when the shoes on the flip on the side, my baby mama take me to child support court. She doing this. My ex-wife doing this. And it's like, man up, right? You a punk. Like, no, that's not fair. I want the same grace you want extended to you, extended to me. Let's be fair about this. So fellas, tell me, let's talk about an example where you went through that, where you know that you did what you were supposed to do up to a certain extent, but she really wasn't, she didn't play fair. Because that's what we talk about, right, Libby?
That's exactly.
They're not being fair.
Yeah.
But they don't want us to talk about that.
Yuli, go ahead, Yuli. I see it.
Yeah, because he got about both stories. It's protruding out his forehead. You can see it. He like, don't put your hand down. Come on,
nah, man, nah. Listen, it's important. I want to chime in. It's a lot of older brothers on here, so I actually, in representation of the younger generation, I want to go last because I feel like listening to y'all first, I get more wisdom. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So let me take a backseat, and then I'll let y'all know I'll chime in.
All right.
Okay. Well, listen, I want my little brother to give his testimony, but bro, keep it short because me and you to talk 3-4 hours, but we're not doing that tonight. My little brother, man, his situation is kind of similar to mine. I'll let him tell the story, but I'll just say this: when two people are together and you make a mistake, if you admit the mistake, then commit to growing and fixing the problem, not beating each other up. So I'm gonna go ahead, Greg. You got about 5 minutes to tell your story if you can. 5 minutes, we ain't got long.
Yep. When mistakes are made, both genders, one is always saying that theirs is right and yours is wrong. Same mistake. Infidelity, for an example. Same thing. You do it, she do it. Hers is excusable, yours is not. You a dog, she did it because she was hurt. It was something that you did to make her do what she did. When you flip that, you say the same thing. Well, baby, this is what you did. That's why I did what I did. No, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. So a man get punished for the same crime as a woman do. And I say it's a crime because that's the way they treat you, like a criminal. When you step out and do something you ain't got no business doing, and she do the same thing. And you're wrong. Everything she does is right. Everything you do is wrong. For whatever reason, or whatever you've done, it's a problem. There's no level playing for you. None whatsoever. And I went through that for years.
Okay. Man, just like when Brother Eugene over here put out a post this week in the group, talking about, good men go through the same things that good women go through. And, there are a lot of women to their credit. There was like, hey, there ain't no argument here. They totally understood. I would say 75% of the women that responded positively.
No, Bill, I'm gonna have to give him a little bit more credit. It was more like about 90%. It was about 90%. Yeah, it was about
90%. Okay.
That's weird.
Agree with that. But those that didn't, and the reasons that they gave, brother, ladies, we're sitting back, we're evaluating too. You're not the only ones that evaluate in relationships, or you might think that just because the brother is out on the hunt for you, that we're not actually sitting back behind that.
Bill, hold on a second. Bro, whoever that is, if you're not talking, mute your phone.
Okay. So where was I?
The brothers are evaluating too.
Oh yeah, brothers sit back and we evaluate too, right? So the interesting thing that happened during Valentine's week, the founder of the group were trying to, get us all to interact with each other a little bit more. I mean, after all, this is like our Christmas for a singles group. You want to have connections going on, especially around Valentine's Day. You can kind of evaluate your success that way. But people were acting like they were at a middle school dance for the first time and didn't want to talk to each other. And we didn't see posts that kind of encouraged like hooking up, like, in any type of way. So when we kind of force fed through several posts ways that we can get the brothers and sisters to interact with each other in some way, so that when the women were putting up single posts talking about, I ain't got a Valentine's date this weekend, and it was basically a whole bunch of woe is me type of posts, and the fellas were doing the same thing. I'm like, they were doing their woe is me post, and I'm like, okay, y'all both got woe is me. Y'all ain't got Valentine's dates for this week set up. Let's set up some Valentine's dates. And she started, just kind of matchmaking, just throwing people together just to see if they'd communicate and spark something up. And it was really discouraging. And some of the feedback that she received from the brothers were that, I wouldn't be interested in her. Well, she would be like, why not? And they would say, have you seen their post? Have you seen their comments? Right? And then she messaged me and be like, see, Bill, they are sitting back evaluating how women kind of treat them on some of these posts. Some of the posts have real decent, valuable meanings to them. But then a lot of times, even when you try to comment on those posts, brothers were getting beat up out there instead of making love connections during the week, right? So we start evaluating what the brothers were saying, trying to pay attention with what's going on. Why are people trying to make connections during Valentine's week? And a series of posts coming from the men's point of view, started popping up. And reciprocity, excuse me, was like one of the things, and that men feel that they're not receiving a fair shot or level playing field on. We're supposed to match their energy all day. Well, when a brother says, why don't you match my energy too? Oh no, wait a minute, you can't accept me for me or all that. There's no matching energy. And you could see that on several posts. It was like there was not agreement at all. And what we don't want to do in this group and in trying to heal these these little cracks in our bridge that really can make connections with each other, we don't want the whole bridge to fall apart because each other is comparing wounds. They're like, my battle scar is worse than your battle scar. No, my battle scar is worse than your battle scar. We got to learn to stop comparing battle scars and realize that, that battle scar hurt just like my battle scar hurt, and acknowledge that with each other and show some empathy towards each other. And maybe some kind of connections can happen naturally from that. So Yuli or Michael, let's jump in on this, man. And I see my brother,
Johnny,
brother Sean, forgive me for butchering your name. We want to hear your points of view too.
Okay, so hold on, just ask me in a formalized question because you covered a lot.
Okay. I saw that you put one of the things that men never received that we wish that we got from our women. What was your answer?
My answer was reciprocity.
And why do you feel that way? And I know that you've had some recent experiences where you're like, yo, man, what is going on out in these COVID streets, man?
Absolutely, man. I'll give a short answer. So, calmly put, it's a situation where you never want to feel as if, as a man, like you're investing in yourself, your time, your energy, your effort, your resources, and that effort is not evenly placed back into the situation. Cut, dry, and simple. You know what I'm saying? So, as a millennial, right, oftentimes what I see out here is, if I put myself out there a certain way and pursue, I'm being intentional, I'm planning dates, I'm putting time, I'm calling consistently, I'm texting, I'm showing this individual that I'm interested, right? If it comes off on the other end as if sometimes it comes off as if the woman feels like I should chase, as if she's making me quote unquote work for it. So I'm sitting up here like, okay, wait, you're not doing me no favors here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just as good of a catcher than you as you are. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have to run you. I shouldn't have to call you first all the time. I shouldn't have to initiate seeing you all the time. I shouldn't have to, it should be an equal playing field, right? I shouldn't have to pay for all the dates, even though I was kind of taught to do so. I'm totally okay with that. But, I should feel appreciated, or I should feel, as if this is a mutual thing and not me trying to win you over. You know what I'm saying? Because if I did that to you and made you, now I'm dogging you out. You know what I mean? And often what I hear is, people give advice like, oh, well, date women who like you. Okay, cool. That's easier to say, right? But how do I evaluate if you like me or not? By not spending time with you, by not even having a conversation with you, by not putting some kind of effort forward to find out if this is mutual, right? If I sit back and wait on you to ask for me, now I'm not being a man, right? If I pursue you and then, and then you give me the cold shoulder or you marinate on it, then, I have to sit and wait on that, right? So you kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't in a lot of cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk about reciprocity, it's like, yo, look, man, if I take a step, then take one with me. If this is really what you want. Now, then it goes back to the communication piece that you guys said before. You know, if I'm communicating that I like you this way, or I intend to pursue you this way, just as long as it took for me to know, you know, I'm assuming that it took you the same amount of time, and then you can let me know where you at. You know, but I don't always get that in my experience personally. I'm not gonna speak for all men. I don't always get that in my experience. And then now I'm gonna have some accountability. I'm not like that with every woman, right? So I'm going to take accountability for that too, because you know, I halfway do stuff sometimes too when I'm not really that interested. So, you know, even swap ain't no swindle. But that's my take on the reciprocity piece.
Cool. Mike, you want to chime in, bro?
Yeah, man. Now, from what Yuli was saying, I agree 100%. So, as far as us men approaching women, that's what we're supposed to do. However, the woman has already saw us way before we even stepped foot trying to get even close to her. So she already knows right then and there, okay, attractive looking man, nice clothes. And she's showing up, checking your feet out. Then when you get a little closer, you know, she's checking out your teeth, make sure you got all your teeth, you know, see if your hair groomed. You know, she's evaluating us from head to toe. So she already knows right then and there if we even have a chance. So for us, you know, we're looking at her the same way. We might not be evaluating her like they do us, but we know we would like to get to know you on a more deeper level. I ain't gonna say platonic level, but more intimate.
Intentional.
Okay, yeah.
Intentional.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So as far as us putting forth the effort and communication, I agree. You know, I shouldn't have to be the one always sending the good morning text. I like them too. You know, I like to wake up. You know, call me. Hey, did you eat? Nah, baby, I ain't eating nothing last. You know, yeah, I'm a little hungry. All right, come on, get dressed. Let's go get something to eat. Cool. You know, I'm not gonna say it's 50-50. It's 100.
Thank you. Say that again.
That's what grown men
do. That's what grown men do. That 50-50.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give you half of me. If I'm into you, you're gonna get 100% of me. I want 100% effort from you. That's my take on it.
All right, cool. I think what's happening, brothers, and I'd like to give ourselves a little pat on the back a little bit. We're waking up each other, right? We're encouraging each other. We're letting each other know that it's all right to go seek therapy. You know, it's all right to admit I got all this weight on my shoulder and I'm about to break if I don't talk to somebody. And a lot of times we find ourselves not really being able to talk to the women that we're pursuing, or our girlfriends, wives, and the other things, is because we're stuck in this revolution of saying, all right, the way I was trained and the way I was brought up in this world, where I scrape my knee, don't cry, don't show any emotion, brush yourself off and keep it moving, right? I see that was a miseducation. And I'm starting to realize and understand that. Now I'm going to seek ways to improve myself because I just can't handle it. And I don't want to be labeled a bitch or not a man because I'm problems handling it. And it's affecting our mental health. We can't be in a healthy relationship if a brother is not mentally healthy. Amen. So we have to create these safe spaces to allow each other, men and women, to heal. And if a brother speaks out and say, you know, I'm learning that I should speak up now. I shouldn't hold in my feelings now. But then again, when I express it on a post, bam, 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 from all sides about how you should not feel that way as a man. You dirty ass dog. Basically, it's like, you know, you have no right, no reason to feel the way you do. And then so what does that teach us as men? Damn, maybe I should just shut my mouth and not say anything and keep it in. Maybe I should share. Because the result of me sharing was not a good experience at all. You know, we get labeled of, you know, fuck your feelings, or, you know, I hate when dark-skinned dudes act like light skin. I mean, real ignorant stuff. I mean, you know, why are you pitting some type of negative thing between dark skin and light skin dudes and their behavior? And light skin is supposed to be weak and dark skin is supposed to be strong. And do you see what you're doing to us?
Okay, Bill, you ready? Because you know better. You know better. Over 400 years ago, there was a man named Willie Lynch that indoctrinated slaves to act like that. He put the strong against the weak, the house Negro against the field Negro, the light-skinned woman against the dark-skinned woman. He said, if you do that for a year, they'll do it the rest of their existence. So that's something that has been put in us, and that's what the Locker Room Chronicles and what other organizations, fraternal organizations, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be teaching each other to break that curse. That is a generational curse. That is something that's been indoctrinated. It was indoctrinated into our forefathers and our great-grandfathers, our grandfathers, us, our children, our generation like you. I mean, that's something that they're still doing. And that's part of that's so sad about it. They don't even realize why they're doing it. Because it was something that was taught to us. It was taught to us to make us to kind of control. It's a control issue. Just like right now, like you made a good point. Like women say they want a strong man, but I don't know nothing stronger than the man can come to his woman and say, "Baby, I need some help." Like I'm in this place right now, and I'm gonna tell you from I have a, you know, y'all know my testimony. I was in a relationship, and I tried to be Superman in the relationship, but when I wasn't around her, I was Clark Kent. In other words, I took my issues and tried to deal with them on my own. Because I didn't want to have that. I didn't want her. I feared that she would look at me and be like, "Oh, he weak because of this, that, and the other." So when I'm in front of her, I got on my red and blue and my ass on my chest. But then when I get around, when I leave her, I take off the glasses. I'm Superman. But when I leave her, I put my glasses back on and I'm Clark Kent. And I'm trying to deal with my issues. But like I told y'all, when a woman truly cares about you, even when she's interested in you, she studies you. So she's going to know if she asks you if something's wrong and you say nothing. If she's really into you, she's gonna know you're lying.
Right.
She's gonna know you're not being honest. And we've been so conditioned to not to share that feelings because my brother Kamal, he said the best, we're so afraid that you're gonna weaponize what we're saying to you that we keep our mouth shut. But when y'all tell us that my last boyfriend slept with my best friend, or my last boyfriend slept with my line sister, or whatever the case may be, we sit there, we're empathetic, and we talk to them, and we let them vent. But do we get a chance to vent? Or are we being weak when we vent? You know, like we'll sit there and listen, like, baby, for real? Like, I can't believe it. Are you serious? Like, that wasn't right. And we sit there and we give them that shoulder to cry on, and we show empathy and we give them that grace. But where's that same grace back towards us? And I have a problem with that. I love my black women. I love my sisters. I love, you know, I want to see us all win. But that's
Greg, we need you to mute my.
So Yuli got 10. I know Yuli got something. Greg, meet your thing, bro. Thank you. Go ahead, Russ.
Well, you know, I was kind of commenting. I raised my hand when Bill was speaking. When he was talking about, you know, guys kind of like venting or talking about their experiences or kind of voicing how they feel in the group. And the thing is the way I look at it is this, right? And I'm gonna ask y'all really quick. Do y'all think that the woman that you're talking about when we make that point that you made, Bill, is that the minority or the majority of women in the movement? When you see, because like y'all made a comment before about 90% versus the 10, right? Now the 10 does stick out like a sore thumb because you'd be like, man, god damn, like
Exactly.
but I'm gonna give the women some credit. Like, if it's 90%, that give, at least for me, that give me hope. Like, okay, at least 90% of them got some sense. But you're gonna always have, just because that's just the world, period. No, everybody's not gonna have the same opinion. Everybody has different perspectives, right? And everybody don't show respect, whatever. You gotta just weed them out. Now, with that being said, Lyndon touched earlier about the stigma of men having to meet so many requirements, right? And I made a comment on a post last week, and said I would like women to be the change that they want to see, and I'll touch on that. So in the world of equilibrium, right? If you're requiring me to be in shape, to make six figures, to have all my stuff together, to add all this value to the table, right? To the lady who feels like they, what make you think that I don't want that? You know what I mean? Like, when do you stop and consider, like, you know what, man? I mean, maybe he want a size 6. If he gotta have a 6-pack, then why don't I get in the gym? You know what I'm saying? Or maybe, am I working on building something to bring to the table financially? Or am I, you know what I'm saying? Because nobody, whether it's men or women, wants to carry. It should merge, right? I'm not saying that I can be rich and you gotta be, and you can't not have as much as I have. But what I will say is that from a overall value standpoint, that does have to correlate. You know what I mean? Like, it can't feel like, because what if I go down? Then we dead, right? So that's not equal, right? We're not partners in that sense, right? So if I got to carry that weight, then it's not 100 or 50-50 or whatever ratio y'all want to use. But y'all shed some light on that, man. Maybe I'm wrong.
Gary, have you been?
Can I?
Oh, go ahead, Linda.
I'm sorry, and you, I'm gonna tell you, you hit on something, brother. So I'm gonna say something that's gonna probably come across a little rough. So just excuse me.
Come on with that heat. Bring that heat, bro.
One of the things that used to piss me the French toast off was to meet a woman. I met a woman one time that said, okay, if a man going to be in a relationship with me, he's got to meet, she emailed me 18 things, a list of 18 bullet items. And then she called me the next day and say, hey, what'd you think about my list? I said, I stopped reading after number 7. Because where I'm at in my life with what I have going on, I don't need to meet those 18 things. But better yet, how many of those 18 things that you have on your list that you actually have yourself? Tell me about your financial outlook. You renting or you owning? What's your credit score? Things of that nature. A lot of the things and the places that you want to go, can you afford to do that yourself? Or do you need a man to do it? So, Yuli, I'm telling you, you hit it. I mean, I'm sorry, that used to piss me the F off about these unrealistic, lofty expectations. And oh, by the way, that woman that sent me that list in 2014, she's still sitting up in the house by herself with a little dog. With no man in sight.
I'm not gonna say that they're gonna be single forever, but
no, I ain't saying that either. But I'm just saying, from the perspective, is that you can come with expectations and preferences that are so lofty that you're blinded and jaded by that. When, as Eugene said, when your Clark Kent come by you that can turn into Superman at any given moment and rescue you, you miss that person because you got all this fluff stuff that you sat around in your girlfriend circles, drinking cosmopolitans and eating prosciutto and wrapped cheese and brie cheese and all this other bunch of stuff. I'm sorry, bro, but you hit on something. It kind of triggered something in me because it just irritated the hell out of me when I used to deal with that.
I'm saying that's real though, and it's my reality. I share this with y'all, man. I remember being 26, man, and I'm 30 now, but I remember being 26, and I remember like that Christmas, the Christmas before, I had to move back home and start over. From I had lost my job. It was like I had to move back in with my mama, and like I ain't lived with my mama since I was like 18. So for me I felt like a failure, right? So I didn't even feel comfortable dating or being in nobody's face unless I had my stuff together, right? And I remember like, I went on one date and this girl said something I'll never forget this. She was like, you nice, but I can't date potential, right? Like, so I was like, I said, okay.
Ouch.
Like at first I was really hurt and offended by that. I was like, man, what? Like, because I had saved up for that date too. I ain't have it like that. So I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I thought to myself, I was like, okay, that's fair. She got the right to want whatever she wants, especially if she got her stuff together, she live alone. Okay, cool, that's fine. So that means I don't have to take that either then, right? If we being fair, I don't have to take what you could potentially be up front. You know what I'm saying? You either have to have it or you don't. But leading out with that, I noticed that the response when I would communicate that, wasn't the same. You know what I'm saying? I was expected to eat that, right? You know what I'm saying? And then just go get it together. But then, when you say that to the young lady, it's, oh, well, who you think you is? Who you think you better than me, blah, blah, blah. But hold on, ma'am, I had to take that when it was me. You know what I'm saying? And I had to go get my stuff together. Nobody didn't sit up studying for them licensing exams till 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Y'all wasn't there for that. Y'all wasn't putting in 12, 14-hour days, you know what I'm saying, for 2 years straight. So don't feel like you're entitled to, the benefits from that. You know what I mean? Like, or the struggle from, because when you make it out the other side of that, it's like, okay, well, I did it by myself. Like, I'm cool. I'm comfortable here. So either I want somebody that's going to add to this, in a way that I'm not sharp in, or not. You know what I mean? Like, but if you can't add to it, then I don't really make it make sense for me on why, on why. And I had another friend that told me love don't pay the bills, but we ain't gonna get into that. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna get into that.
Gary, I see your hand up, brother. Good points, Huey.
Come on, Gary. Let's see what you got to say, bro.
All right.
And we don't hear about you breaking up with nobody via email. I don't talk.
That was only one time. Look. My experience was a little bit different, but then I was in a different set. And the reason being is I was always hunted because of what I did. But I think, and hopefully we're going to get a little bit of time, there's this, and Eugene, you know about the parable of the sower and the seed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll talk about that a little later when we have comments for the good of the order. But my whole mindset now is it is your God-given right as a woman to have whatever unrealistic expectations that you want. Just like it's my God-given right to ignore each and every one.
Good point. I mean,
That's
So-
point.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So if you want to come with me talking about, well, hey, I need this, I need that, I'll say, okay. Well, if we get to know each other well enough, you might be able to get to answer those questions. But right now, I'm focusing on your character. I'm focusing on what you bring to the table spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. I don't even care what you bring about materially. I care more about what you bring as a person. Because if your character is rotten, we don't need to go any further. It's like, it's okay. What's good with it?
Yeah,
What?
that's I understand it, because there are some, let's be fair, fellas. There are some, there are some beautiful ladies out here. And unfortunately, some of them have experienced some letdowns from our gender.
Oh yeah.
And vice versa. But we have to be fair with one another. And I don't care how much we sit here and throw out examples. The bottom line is, what is the communication like in the door? Are we communicating? I think a lot of problems can be solved. And y'all know my favorite phrase. It's nothing like having a hard conversation. And what I mean by a hard conversation, I'm not talking about one that's condescending, one that's assaulting your character. When you and your lady friend or your potential friend or somebody that you're interested in, y'all can sit down and really have a tough, I'm talking about a tough conversation, a realistic conversation. And then after that, be honest with each other about, so how should we proceed from this point on? Because I think if you really be honest with one another, and Deion Cole, he said it best. A lot of brothers, and he was being funny, but as funny as it was realistic. He said, a lot of y'all don't understand. You can get more if you just be honest. If you just be upfront and be 100. He said, you never know. He said he was a little, a little silly because he's a comedian. He's like, she might want to bring another woman into the date. But I mean, of course, that's comedy, and he was trying to make people laugh. But the realism is, if you just have a real tough, hard conversation, you can alleviate a lot of these problems that we're dealing with right now. You really can. I mean, brothers, we always, my father always taught me that you have to always keep you some coins in your pocket. You trying to take a young lady out. He said you should never go somewhere where you don't have enough money to pay for what you're paying for. He said, if you're taking her somewhere, kind of investigate where you're taking her. So if I'm doing all this investigation, if I'm spending all this time and planning this situation, then I should have always done my due diligence on the young lady I'm taking out. But if we be realistic, and it goes on both sides of the gender pool, sometimes we look at the outward appearance and we don't look at the inward appearance. And we don't find out about the inward appearance until our feelings become attached. And that's when the playing field becomes uneven, because what we now have expectations of, we're upset because we saw something, but what we saw, we believe we had what we saw. But when that conversation was had, as you begin to understand and focus on one another, you begin to realize, wait a minute, this ain't what I thought it was. So my question is the playing field really uneven? Or are we not just playing the game right?
Let me add. Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
I was going to say, can we as men have the difficult conversation with transparency? Because if you can have the difficult conversation with transparency, you can alleviate 90% of the pitfalls and everything that we end up being in terms of mistaking people for what they are. Because if we say up front, well, hey, I'm just in it to dibble dabble. Hey, I want to see, can I do that threesome with you and your girlfriend? If we just be honest about it and let the chips fall where they may, who knows? You might hit that grand slam every now and then. Okay? But we gotta be willing to have the conversation transparently. We gotta be able to be willing to leave it all on the field, so that if it doesn't work out that way,
you did your best
and spread some seed somewhere else.
You know what, Gary? You gonna cut that out. You gonna cut that out. I'm not playing with you, Gary. Go ahead, Bill. I want to say something, Bill, but go ahead, Bill.
Go ahead, Bill.
I'm Gary crazy. We're not doing that. Go ahead, bro.
Let me add to a couple of things that y'all hit on, man, that's profound, that kind of happened in this past week. Talking about communication is fine. Yes, you have to have communication, but I think that we put so much weighted value in that word that we forget there's other things beyond communication. Like, yes, we have to communicate with each other in order to learn what that person likes, doesn't like, what their boundaries are, what our expectations are, what their yes, we have to have those conversations. But we need to do more than have those conversations if we're going to have successful relationships, healthy relationships. We have to come into it with a feeling or a desire of being fair to one another. Like, we can have all the conversation in the world, but are we also saying that, are we also being fair about the conversations that we're having? And if
We've been,
there's that
I
sense
think,
of being on an equal playing field, right? If like somebody put up a post where the woman was talking about, the man wants to come get a phone call from his girl saying, be ready at 7, I'm gonna take you out. A man likes massages. Some men like,
yeah,
man
I remember that.
pedicures and other stuff. Do you take the initiative and offer that to your man like your man is supposed to do for you? And man, I saw a particular a comment, a response to that I see that I see often. Like, there's a qualifier that women put on there a lot. Like, yes, I'm all willing to do that for my man, right? And I'm like, dang, that's interesting. So I try to get into this conversation of saying, well, should men also have that same, criteria? Like, I'm not going to offer to, get her a back massage. I'm not going to offer these things, tell her to get ready and be ready at 7 o'clock because I'm taking you out. Should a man say, I will do that, but for my woman, right? Because that right there shows an uneven playing field. When a man is interested, he's supposed to be willing in the courtship to do those type of things, to show some interest, show some care, and all that, show some class and all that other stuff, right? But a woman ain't gonna do that for somebody she's just getting to know. She'll do that for her man, or she'll do that for her husband, but it's not gonna be reciprocated the same. Why not? And she commented back um with an interesting answer, and said basically that we shouldn't do, men or women really shouldn't do the things that that you're in a relationship with somebody that you're just getting to know. Like, there's levels to this. There's the dating things that you should do. There's being in a relationship things that you should do. A step higher would be things that you would do for your fiance because you're being intentional about marriage. And then the highest level should be the things that you would do for your wife. Men from the gate would do wifey things like
Boy,
send
you better preach. Go ahead, sir. Talking good. Go ahead, preacher.
men would do things for their wifey, like wifey things for, like, send 2 dozen roses for Valentine's Day. And we're not even together yet. But to show my interest, I will do that, or I'm willing to do that. But then when you have a wife,
I'm about to throw this phone. I swear to God.
when you have a wife, you would do the same thing and spend the same amount of money for 2 dozen roses. But a woman tells you, I would do that for my man, but I ain't doing that for somebody that I'm just getting to know, or we haven't really established any type of commitment. So if that's going to be your standard for a man to do in order to get you, what's the benefit of marriage? Y'all don't understand what you're communicating, ladies. If I have to do that in dating,
Boy,
what does it benefit me to marry you and give you 2 dozen roses? When I don't need to do that, I gave you 2 dozen roses when I was just trying to be your boyfriend.
Ooh, Jesus.
That's
Go ahead, you, but after you, I gotta say something because
I touched on that earlier though. That's stuff that you do when you're trying to. You just said it. Get her or win her. Like y'all supposed to be trying to get each other. You get what I'm saying? Like so when you ain't, you know, when it's one sided like that, yeah, you gonna. And then what happens is we create this because women really like consistency, right? So now you starting something that you're not gonna buy two dozen roses every. So, but you created that. So now they looking at you like, well, you know, you not keeping this up, so you're not doing the same things you did before. Now you done changed up. You done got too comfortable. You done did this. So we do it to ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, so if you don't ever try to be somewhere you're not wanted. You know what I mean? You have to give another woman enough leeway or enough rope to show you if she wants you or not. Because Eugene, you touched on the whole importance of having a conversation. Yes, tough conversations are cool. I actually welcome them. But however, I also evaluate actions, and they have to match. You know what I mean? Like, because you could tell me anything, and I'm not going off what you say. You know, people are very flawed. You know, nobody's perfect, including myself. And you know, you can misspeak. You know what I mean? And I have to take the whole body of work put together. Like, okay, well, you said this, but you did this, and this. So based on the whole everything, I'm either ask you why that don't correlate, or I'm gonna make my own judgment and say, you know what, no, I ain't really feeling that. I feel like she full of shit. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, you owe it to yourself. Nobody's gonna look out for you like you. So you owe it to yourself to use good discernment and to be a decent judge of character when you putting yourself out there in the dating realm. You know, and that's my opinion. Go ahead.
I want to touch.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in?
Go ahead, Mike.
Mike. Let me say this real quick because I don't want to forget. Okay. I want to address something that Yuli said earlier that I saw on the YouTube. Because I'm looking at the YouTube too. Yuli, you said that the young lady said she don't date potential. Somebody just put something on a YouTube channel that was the bomb. They said you want to date the doctor, but not the medical student. Mm-hmm. Woo, that was strong. You want the doctor, but you don't want to date the medical student. I'm in medical school right now, but you ain't feeling me. But when I graduate and get my white coat and become a doctor, now you feel it. Kick rocks. Right. Second thing, here's something I want to ask y'all, fellas. There was a post put out, and I want to hear y'all reaction to this. There was a post put out. It says men don't need 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6 years to know whether or not he wants to marry her or he has a serious connection with a woman. He knows within the first 2 to 6 months what his intention is towards her. Do y'all agree?
True.
This is what I'm saying. Here's what I say. Yeah. I didn't say you're going to marry her in 2 to 6 months, but you pretty much feel like, she might be a winner. So here's what we do as men, because I've done it. And it's only happened to me one time, potentially, where I saw somebody and I saw not their potential, but I saw Gary get kick rocks. Don't start that foolishness. I saw the potential. Well, I don't want to say potential. I saw her for who she was. Because I'm a little different. I look beyond the physical appearance. Okay, you be fine as wine and be dumb as a box of rocks. Mm. Like you could be the whole package and just be, as soon as you open your mouth, just made me go, really? Like, are you really like that? So when a man really meets that one that he knows is possibly the one, he does stuff like Bill said. He's going to treat her like he sees her. Let's keep it 100, fellas. Ladies might get a little upset when I'm about to say, but I got to keep it 100. The ones that you have general interest in, you're going to prove that by your actions. The ones you just trying to hit, you're going to prove that by your actions. Right. Let's keep it 100. We grown fellas on this page. Let's be grown. Right. But here's my problem, and Bill said it. Here's what I don't understand. When a brother meets that one that he goes, she's the one, and he treats her like she's the one, why don't they understand that? What's wrong? Why don't you I'm treating you like, in other words, it's only going to get better as the relationship progresses. So we're in the like you said, you're in the stages. We're in the courting, we're in the getting to know each other stage. So I'm gonna do a little extra to get to know stage. But once I start looking at you and realizing, like, man, this might be the one. Like, I'm really feeling her. So I'm gonna take it a little step further. Like, we might be in the getting to know each other stage, but I'm gonna treat you like we're in the dating stage. Because dating and courting is different. Don't get it twisted. Dating and courting is two different things. Then you start dating, that's when y'all going out spending time together. Courting is when you like, that's when you building and working on actually saying, hey, we're gonna do this. Then that's a thing called being exclusive. It's me and you. And then after that, that's when you become intentional. And at that point, when you're intentional, you should know, hey, this is my future. And I'm going to build like she's my future. But men, we see, some of us see 2 steps ahead, but that's how we get ourselves in trouble. Because you can actually jump the gun and treat somebody like they're your future, and they find out they're not, and that's how we end up broken. That's how we end up going, oh my God, I thought that was the one.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything wrong with treating a woman like you see her. And I hate the word potential. My pastor used to always say he didn't like that word potential at all. Because he said it just rubbed in the wrong way. And he didn't like capacity. He just like, just be the best that you can be. Allow yourself to be stretched. Allow yourself to be stretched, because you never know what you can do. Potential has the potential to fail. Capacity runs out. But to be stretched, you don't know how far you could be stretched until you're actually stretched.
Good point. Good point. Gary?
So at the end of the day, that thing about dating the doctor, but not the med student, I thought it when Yuli said about the potential. Like this woman, whoever that woman was, Yuli might be a millionaire one day. And she's gonna open up her magazine one day and see him sitting with his beautiful wife and family and his $17 million home and go, golly, I messed up. Yeah, because you talked about his potential. And now he's potentially a millionaire. Now what? And you somewhere sitting there with Daquan that got on the Timbo smoking a black and mild, talking about, girl, fix me a sandwich. Because you don't want to date potential.
She could have went and got the brother who had it right there, who on the same track.
That would probably lose it because he don't know, because he didn't earn it.
Look, man, it's all good, but I think you hit it on it though. Just now, like a lot of times men put the cart before the horse because we naturally hunters, right? So, okay, we see it, we identified it. Okay, cool. Now we going all in, but you have to take a step back, not be victim of the moment all the time, and have enough wherewithal to okay, I gotta let her catch up too. She gotta show me this too. Like, to keep it even, man, because you asked the question, well, why when men actually do that, what be wrong with them? Why they can't see that? Well, for one, it might be you like her, but she don't like you like that. You know what I mean? Like, and you ain't took the time to even, you were so caught up in how you felt, you didn't even take the time to let her show you if she liked you or not. You know what I mean? Or listen to her enough to listen to what she wanted. You know what I mean? Maybe you want the house and the kids and all that. And she was like, well, I just thought you was fun. You know what I mean? Like, but it'd be a hard pill for the man to swallow in that situation. So we kind of avoid that, just keeping it all the way above. And then also, being able to, what we see, how we feel we may be expressing or showing intention or loving somebody or what. That's that whole love language conversation that comes up. Maybe she doesn't receive it the way that we give it one way, but she don't speak that language. You know what I mean?
That might not be a love language.
That could be an issue.
Might not be a love.
And then I also think that, it's this whole thing. What term was that you said that you hated? You hate potential. I hate the phrase going with the flow past a certain point, right? Because I think boundaries are important, right? Yeah. Because if you go with the flow, and it could flow anywhere. You know what I mean?
I learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah, and then everybody feelings caught up. Now we ain't got no kind of parameters set.
Direction, right, exactly.
Nah, we can't do that. You know what I mean? And then you get too far out there. Now you in a gray area. Now you set yourself up to get hurt. So, I just think as the men, we have to do a better job at listening, and also being patient. You know what I mean? And allowing women to kind of do their part too. And then, they go back to that evaluation part that I talked about.
The ladies also said, one of the young ladies on the YouTube also said, communication is cool, but are you comprehending what's being communicated? Are you really understanding what's being, are you just listening to listen? So, let me let her hurry up and say what she got to say and be quiet. Are you actually sitting there listening, like, with comprehension, like, okay, what can we do to fix this? Like, what do we like, what can I implement so that if this is a problem, this doesn't happen again? Let's talk about this. Let's deal with this now. And let's be grown-ups and explain your expectation. Give me your boundaries so I know that we can't go through this again. Mike, you had something to say, and then we're gonna let Gary speak. Go ahead, Mike.
It kind of that point kind of done flew, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it anyway. I'll say I think we put most of the blame. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I believe we fault ourselves when we're going above and beyond trying to impress a woman who does not even show that 100% interest in us.
Say that again, sir.
Right. So what are you saying we're doing? We're obviously at fault for doing that, because we should be sensible to recognize through actions, conversations, and all that stuff from before that it's just not worth going over and beyond when they're not showing that worth for you to be going over and beyond. So when you do it, is it her fault that you get your feelings
No,
caught?
that's what I said. I said we're at fault because that's what we're doing. We want to take them to the most expensive restaurant. We want to take them on these lavish trips. Way before, we've gotten that deep into a relationship where it's going to be welcomed. If you understand what I'm saying. Now I got some people going to get in my car. Let me go on mute.
All right, Gary, go ahead.
First of all, I think a man can figure out within 6 months that this is a woman he wants to build with. But everybody you want to build with ain't going to work with you. It's not a good match. That's where you need to see that person in seasons. Is that person going to be laying bricks with you when it's raining? When it's snow on the ground, when the wind is blowing and the leaves are all blown all around, when the mosquitoes are out? Are you going to be at each other's throat because you forgot the cement or she forgot the sand? You can figure out, oh yeah, this is somebody I want to build with. Now, hopefully, you didn't make that selection because your nose was wide open. You made
that nose wide open, Gary. What's talking about, bro?
Sprung, as they used to say in my day. Yeah, hopefully you didn't make that decision. This is the one I want to build with. You made that decision based on her character, based on what she showed you, based on how you work together, your chemistry, your values. That's how hopefully you came to that conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
But even when you both have good intentions, that don't necessarily mean you're good for each other. And you have to be prepared for that too. It really works when both of you are genuine in your involvement and your approach, so that when it turns out that, well, no, it's not going to work for us because maybe she has a different timeline than you. Maybe you have a different vision that doesn't fit with her, and vice versa. But because you came in with a genuine approach to begin with, you say, you know what, ain't going to work. And you'll probably be friends. Because you approach each other with respect, with dignity and respect.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it that way, then you always win. Even if the relationship ends, you'll always win. But yeah, a man can find out in 6 months whether or not he wants to build with a woman, but that don't mean she's a good match.
That's true. That's true.
Fellas, so while we're waiting for, some questions from our viewing audience and everything, how much, real quick, how much should we invest in impressing? Especially when, you don't feel that reciprocation, or you don't feel that they are trying to impress you also. Like if I do something and I'm trying to impress somebody, or if somebody does something to me and they're impressing me, there's like a natural feeling that happens inside, like, dang, well, she just impressed me with that. Let me step my game up and try to impress her also. How much value do we put in impressing when we don't receive impressions to catch us also? Like, we can't always be on the hunt. We got to feel like, dang, she values me also. And should I continue to try to impress somebody that is not also trying to impress me?
Hey, Bill.
Well, impress. Oh, my bad, man. Go ahead, Lynn.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, and like I said before, I'm just really kind of speaking from experience, and this is just my philosophy. And there may be some brothers that don't agree with it. I'm not one where I think one of the most precious things on this earth and one of the precious commodities is time. And once you waste a lot of time on some nonsensical stuff, lack of reciprocation, shallow expectations or whatever, and then you're not getting what you need, all that time you invested, you never get that back. So I think you got to come out the gate really with a strong assessing tool. And then once you see it and the dots not connecting, the math's not adding up, you move on, you cut it and move on. But, the problem is you find people on both sides of the fence that invest so much time hoping that the glimmer shines, and then it never shines, and then you got all this time wasted. So my thing is, when you see it going left and you're not getting what you need, move on. So that's my take on it. But I don't spending a lot of time.
Like I posted earlier, I don't know if it was today or yesterday. I posted, I'm in a season in my life where it's one and done. Like I don't have time for it. Like whatever you,
exactly,
I'm on what you on. I'm like Luda. When you move, I move, just like that. So that's what you're doing. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it's one and done. Like people was like, well, Eugene, you can't be like, that's not fair. I was like, no. I mean, I'm not gonna be mean to you, but if you smack me on one cheek, I'm not gonna give you the other cheek to smack. I'm just gonna move around. I'm gonna make myself unavailable for you to smack me again because to mistreat me or to make me feel like I've wasted my time.
Yes.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Bill, I don't know about the impress part though. Help me, fellas, because I don't want to say anything, but in my opinion, I don't want to impress you because I'm just going to show you who I am. And if you're pleased with who I am, then you're pleased with who I am. But if you're not pleased with who I am, then I'm not the one for you. I'm not going. I might do actually like cook you dinner or maybe massage your feet. Now that's kind of maybe impressive. But the package you get is the package you get. In other words, if we last 2 or 3 years, 3 years down the road, you're gonna be like, you know what? I didn't know that about you. No, you knew that in the door. I'm not gonna sit here. In other words, I'm not gonna come to the club and put some Porsche keys on the bar, but I'm driving the Yugo. I'm not gonna try to do that. If I pull up in the Yugo, I'm gonna pull up in the Yugo. If I pull up in the Pontiac Fiero, that's what I'll pull up in. I mean, what I have is what I had. But what you gotta understand, I'm gonna tell you what Yuli said. I might be driving the Yugo today, but yeah, watch me. For example, my first car was a 78 Caprice Classic with the lounge down windows, 2-door. I love my car. Back then, women were kind of car booties. You had the dope boys that was riding around in the Blazers and the Mercedes Benz 500 with the AMG kit on it. I had a 78 Caprice Classic. They weren't trying to ride with me. Now I'm driving Lincoln. I've had a Cadillac. I've had sports, I've had luxury cars because that's what I wanted. But I'm not trying to impress nobody. That's what I want to drive. So if I pull up to your house with a sidekick, yeah, I remember the sidekick. Then get in the sidekick and let's ride.
You don't have no choice but to respect it, man. But
exactly, respect what I'm giving you.
Nah, I mean, then also like respect. Go ahead.
Like perfect example. Yuli said he had a moment where he fell off, had to move back with moms, but he back on his square now.
Yeah,
he back on his square, and whatever female passed up on me at that time, I promise you, they'd have probably reached out like, yeah, Yuli, how you doing? No, I'm good. I'm straight. No, I don't need that.
No, but you know what? One thing I always say, I was like, I was never the type of person to like give somebody my ass to kiss. So I mean, that young lady who told me that on that date, we cool. Like we cool. We not gonna be that, but we cool though. You know what I mean? And like, cause you don't want to burn bridges, but I think you hit a really good point, Lyndon, and you know, we just keep belaboring that. But what I want to ask y'all is, okay, so we talked about a lot, but what's the solution, fellas? Like, how do we improve?
So how do we even this playing field? That's what you're saying, right, bro?
Right. Knowing that these dynamics are there, you know, knowing that these things exist, we're pretty much saying the same thing collectively. You know, how do we get better, right? And present ourselves better moving forward. What y'all got in mind?
Go ahead, Uncle Gary.
All right. First thing, be the best person you can be. Be yourself. That's number 2, be yourself. 3, let other people be themselves. Number 4, if being yourself and the other person being themselves, you find yourself frequently frustrated, probably not gonna work out. Probably not gonna work out. Sometimes it don't even work out as friends. It's just like them being themselves is, you just can't figure it out. You just like, I don't want to do it anymore. And you can be, both of you can be genuine, but sometimes it just don't work. And it's okay to put in a good faith effort. You work at it, and at the end, all you have is frustration, disillusionment, confusion, and you need to say, that's it. Then maybe I need to just go ahead and mosey on. Sow my seed elsewhere.
Well, you in this seed, Lord Jesus.
Well,
I would say
no. Well, let me. As men, we are sowers. Sowing our seed is our influence, and our goal is the one plant that we are going to nurture into that beautiful tree that's going to feed everybody. So when we sow those seeds, you know, the birds pick up some of them. Some of them get washed away after being on the rock. Some of them get all tangled in the weeds, and some of them land in good soil. Or in our case, we're not looking for some. We only need one.
I think we should like stop putting so much value in the impression thing. We have to realize that impressing somebody or wanting to please somebody, let me put it that way, because I don't want, you know, people to get into like that false impression, like, you know, I'm acting like I'm rich and everything, but I'm staying in my mom's basement. I'm not talking about that type. I'm talking about genuine trying to show someone that you're willing to put that extra effort in, right? And not saying that you're really looking for that in return, but you have to, in order to match energy, you know, you have to be able to see something come back at you, you know, the same, right?
It's an investment.
And if we don't realize, we have to stop putting so much value, like, you know, I'm dressing to impress, I'm doing this to impress, I'm doing that to impress, I'm impressing them, I'm impressing them, I'm impressing. And then you feel you come up short because you did all the impressing and maybe that don't impress them, and we're putting too much value in the impression. So as a solution, brothers, we have to change our bait. If it's not working for us, why are we still using worms when the fish that we're trying to catch don't eat worms? They might need a cricket.
Also, yeah, man. Also, you got to evaluate, keep real with yourself, man. What kind of fish are you really looking for?
Exactly.
Because I mean, in my generation, dudes get the chains and watches and all the fly clothes, the designer and stuff like that. Get the fly cars, go to the club, buy tables. What particularly
What
what
do you
woman
think?
trying to appeal to? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then when you get the girls who just go from section to section, table to table, you looking crazy like, man. Now I put this thing in your head like, oh, women ain't you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But what are you putting out there? You know what I'm saying? So I agree with adjusting the bait. I also think that it's that thing of what I touched on earlier. We need to not become victims of the moment. We need to do a better job at listening in these conversations where we communicate to know where she's at. You know where you're at, but you have to be able to meet her where she's at, or see if she's willing to meet you where you're at. And be able to make a wise decision or make a good choice at that junction point, because after the y'all have the conversation, the tough talk or whatever like that, and everybody put their chips on the table, it's up to you to make the best decision for you in that situation moving forward. And I think sometimes we give women a pass in that sense, and kind of take this, this chip on our shoulder, like, oh no, we gonna win, over, or we gonna change that, or I'm gonna do this. And women do the same thing with us. You know what I mean? Like, it's been women that say they like us, and then, we tell them, oh no, it's just this, and they agree to that, but they have ulterior motive to change our mind or flip where we at, and they end up hurt on the back end. So I think that's we got to keep it real with ourselves, man, and kind of incorporate that mindset moving forward.
Right. I want to say that I agree with Yuli. You have to be. One thing I've learned: you have to be your genuine self. You just have to be who you are, but be the best representation of yourself. Like, be honest with yourself. If you know you're lacking in some areas, work on it. And at the appropriate time, if you're involved with somebody or interested in somebody, and there's some places where you're lacking, that might be a needed conversation to be had. But reality is, I'm not going to jump through no fire flaming rings to prove my love for you. What I will do is be the best person I can be for you. And like Gary said, if that doesn't line up, then it just doesn't line up. And I have to realistically understand that, okay, she's a beautiful person, I'm a beautiful person. It just didn't work out. I mean, it's no disrespect. I'm not going to degrade her and talk about her. But the bottom line is our chemistry just didn't mix. She's a good woman, I'm a good man. But, I remember saying, I was in a situation one time where I knew this young lady, and she was like, honestly, bro, she was hidden. She was hidden. Like, I mean, she hit on all cylinders, but we just met at the wrong time in our lives. Did that make her a bad woman? Absolutely not, because we're still friends to this day. But if we would have tried to force that situation back then we probably wouldn't be friends today. So like I think Yuli hit on it too. Like, don't try to force anything. Just, in my opinion, just be the best you can be of yourself. Be the best Eugene you can be. Be the best Yuli you can be. Be the best Linda you can be. Be the best Greg you can be. Be the best Gary you can be. Be the best Michael you can be. Be the best Bill you can be. Be the best that you can be. And I mean, but honestly, brutally honestly with yourself. If there's some areas you lack in, fix those areas. That's what these kind of outlets are for.
Mm-hmm.
Where you could call up, hey man, Yuli, man, pray for your boy, man. His son was kind of foul, man. And he like, Eugene, that was foul, bro. But just make amends, be a man, fix it, go back and apologize, and see if you can fix that thing. If not, just take that L and keep it moving, because truthfully in yourself you lost and you messed that up. But at the end of the day, if you are the best representation of yourself, you can't lose. Because anytime you start not being who you're supposed to be to please somebody else, you just lost. And that's my personal feelings about leveling this playing ground. If everybody be the best reputation of themselves, then the playing ground will be even on both sides of the gender pool.
Greg,
let Greg get the last remark and we'll get I don't know if I can do. I ain't gonna do you like that. I was gonna have you close out in prayer. But he looking like, no, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You look like, no, bro. We gonna let Big Bill close out in prayer after Greg. Go ahead, bro. Matter of fact, no, Greg, you gonna close us out in prayer. Unmute yourself because you've been unmuted all day, and I heard all the background noise. Now you want to be quiet.
You gonna put me on the spot like that, big bro?
Yeah, you know how I do, bro.
What happened to questions from the audience?
They didn't have any, bro. They didn't have any.
Oh.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say, we gotta know what our worth is. As as black men, we have to know our worth.
That's Linda's favorite saying.
Yeah, we have to know our worth. If we know our worth, then we won't settle for anything. Just anything. Because women do that all the time. They know they work because they got friends in their ear saying, girl, you work better than that. You work this, you work more than this, you work more than that. We have to think that way about ourselves too. We have to know our worth. Mm-hmm. Fellas, we have to help each other understand our worth. And when you understand your worth and who you are, especially if you're a man of God, and you realize who you are in God and in Christ, you will not settle for anything less than what you're worth. Just because she looked like this and looked like that, she got all in the front, all in the back, her insides is probably horrible. You just got to know your worth, brothers. Just know your worth. And you won't settle for anything less than the best.
Okay, I think we hit our time, right? So
yeah, we did. We went a little over, but that's cool. We cool with it.
Okay.
So, Bill, you want to say something? Then we won't let Brother Greg close us out in prayer.
No, I think we covered it. I think we got some things off our chest a little bit, fellas. I like the open dialogue, and I appreciate each and every one of you opening up. It's not easy. We're coming into this new age where it's all right for us Black men to talk about it, because if we keep suppressing these things in our heads and our brains, man, we start to have these mental health issues that we don't want to acknowledge, right? And then at the same time, we want that woman, we want the relationship and everything, but we haven't dealt with these mental health issues that we have. So let's keep opening up. Let's keep talking about it. Let's keep coming up with seeing how we're accountable to these things in a way so that we're not just always blaming them, when we can also be contributing to what it is that we're hating. We're throwing out all these signs out there, and then when we hate on it, not realizing that we're the ones throwing these signals out here. We're the ones that's getting this negative feedback because of what we're doing. So let's hold ourselves accountable. Let's uplift each other, and let's apply these solutions in our lives where we can become the best Black men, on this earth, and women will notice that.
Yeah, roger that. So come on, Brother Greg, close us out, bro.
Father God, we come to you right now just thanking you that we have an outlet, Father God, the other brothers, Father God, that we can come together and speak to you about things that are going on in our lives and our hearts, Father. We just ask you to touch us, Father God, as one, collectively, and as individuals too, Father God, because all our struggles are different. But you have the answer to every struggle and every man and every woman. So we just ask you, God, to constantly speak to us, constantly make avenues for us to be able to express ourselves and help each other, Father God. And this is not woman bashing. This is man raising. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. And I ask you to continue to do that for this group, Father God, so it can grow and make potential wonderful men in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen, amen. All right, bro. Salute. One time for the
Salute.
punch. Appreciate y'all.
Man, salute.
Y'all keep me in prayer, and we're gonna
Always,
do what we do.
always.
Got you lifted.